welcome. This is Going Well, I Think, with David Cooper, and happy Friday. I'm David Cooper. This is Going Well, I Think, the show where no one's listening, no one cares. The show where every episode's the last episode. Great lineup today. So this show has a producer, and I know what you're thinking to yourself. This show's terrible. How could it possibly have a producer? Well, it's not her fault. She is absolutely wonderful. Let me tell you how wonderful she is. The other day, at the beginning of the show, I got a kick out of a news story about a Florida district school board banning a book about banning books. Well, today, we're going to have the author of said book, and my producer, Dani, booked this guy without even telling me about it. That's how great she is. She gets what we're trying to do. So thank you, Dani. That interview in about 10 minutes. After that, a biology professor to tell us about dengue fever. There's been a rise in infected mosquitoes, and could those mosquitoes bite you? Dengue. If you have summer travel plans, you're going to want to listen to this. Then, because it's Friday and we're really out of ideas, we're going to scrape the bottom of the barrel with the top 10 things to discuss on a radio program as generated by AI. We're going to discuss that with foreign correspondent Tony 5. And go easy on me. I taped that with Tony when it was very early in the morning. And following that, we'll talk to a film critic who went to Cannes, the film festival, and what his predictions are for the Oscars in 2025 and what to look forward to, what he's seen that hasn't hit the theaters yet. Finally, we'll check in with our producer, Dani. I want to compliment her on what a great job she's done, and also give her a hard time. That is our show. That's what you have to look forward to. But first, this. If you're ever thinking to yourself, should I call 911? Should I not call 911? Just remember what I'm about to tell you. Here's an example of what not to do. In Atlanta, Georgia, a guy dialed 911, not because someone was breaking in, not because he was in danger, but because his neighbor's cat was turning their shared house into a feline porta potty. Yes, the litter situation in this guy's house was so bad, he thought it was worth declaring a national emergency. The man who called 911 was quoted as saying to the dispatcher, "Ma'am, the cat's got the house smelling like it took a bath in a porta-john." He claimed he even tried to use incense to cover it up, but that just made the house smell like a burning dumpster. It got so bad, he said he was feeling sick to his stomach. And I imagine that wasn't just from the Taco Bell he probably had for dinner. Now, the neighbor with the stinky cat, this woman's got a history. Her previous cat was apparently allowed outside and sadly passed away. And it appears the man who called 911 was actually friends with this woman because he helped bury the cat for her. What a mensch! But the very next day, the woman showed up with a new cat. Seems like she's got more cats than Taylor Swift has ex-boyfriends. Now, back to the 911 call. The dispatcher, probably while trying to keep a straight face, tells the man to wait for police to arrive. Meanwhile, the Atlanta PD gently reminded everyone on Facebook that 911 is for emergencies only. Like crimes, fires, and harassing minorities. That's what I assume police do these days. 911 should not be used for, quote, not changing that cat pan and stuff in here like the woman should because this house stank, ma'am. That's what the man said on the 911 call. So next time your place smells like a frat house and it's not your fault, try talking to your neighbor before dialing 911. Because if you think a cat's litter box is a 911 emergency, the catastrophe might be you, not the cat. Get it? Because catastrophe and cat, oh my God. Now we go to a story that takes turbulence to a whole new level. Here's what happened. A 30-year-old woman, a thrill seeker, decides the best way to spend her flight from Dallas to Charlotte is by attempting to open the plane's front door midair. That is a desperate need for fresh air. Now, when I say this woman caused a ruckus, I do mean it. She bit, she kicked, and she spat at staff and passengers while it seemed like she was auditioning for a role in a zombie apocalypse movie. And if that's not all of this happened after she tried to grab the plane's door handle after ordering a neat Jack Daniels. Clearly, it is a fine line between neat and unhinged. To say the flight attendants had their hands full may be an understatement, but after some verbal gymnastics and a few profanities, they managed to duct tape the woman to her seat. Yes, you heard that right, duct tape. Something you might use to fix your broken furniture. If only fixing an insane passenger's behavior was that easy. Oh wait, just duct tape them to their seat? It might be that easy. An official report described her behavior as kicking, spitting, attempting to bite and headbutt a flight attendant and passengers. Gotta love her. When the plane landed, they radioed the airport and police were waiting for her. But she continued to lash out. And so she was sedated and removed from the aircraft by law enforcement and medical responders. But the Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA, was not amused by her midair shenanigans and slapped her with a whopping $81,950 fine. That should be easy to pay, right? Well, the woman, ever the rebel, decided not to pay up. She didn't cough up the cash, so now the FAA has taken her to court to collect the money. She seems like the kind of person that after her ordeal, she'd be screaming, "I'm going to sue everybody for being duct taped to her seat." But no, this time, the authorities are suing her. But here's what's wild. There are going to be no criminal charges filed against her, just a, quote, in-flight violation. But maybe next time she'll aim for something less dramatic, like stealing in-flight peanuts. So when life gives you Jack Daniels on a plane, maybe keep it neat. Don't go for unruly. I hear a lot of stories these days about artificial intelligence photos stealing from real artists, copying work, even being used to fool people into thinking certain photographs are in fact real when they're not. But this story gets it all backwards. Let me tell you about the 1839 Photography Awards. That's just the name of the awards. They do get handed out every year. But here's what happened. A photographer wins first place in the AI category with a stunning photo of a flamingo. But here's where it turns upside down. It was a real photo. Yeah, the man fooled everybody with good old human-made art. And the message behind it from the photographer, not actually a bad one. He said he did it to remind us that real emotional depth in art cannot be beaten by AI. But I would make the somewhat scary argument, yet. It can't be beaten by AI yet. But anyway, back to the award. When the judges found out the man got the boot, they yanked his flamingo photo from the site faster than something that's fast. Does everything need to have a silly metaphor? I imagine the organizers were all like, "We got rules, buddy. Your photo does not fit in the AI category, even if it was to make a point." Sort of like entering a hot dog eating contest with a carrot. You might be making a vegan statement, but you'll still get disqualified. The photographer took it in stride. He's calling it a win for human creativity. He's hoping with that people will realize the value of human-made art. After all, Mother Nature may need our help more than she needs AI to create pink flamingos. Maybe we could use AI to help with solving, I don't know, climate change instead? But here's why I'm telling you about this. The battle between humans and robots in art is heating up, and the ethics here are getting kind of tricky. My worry, it's just the beginning of this kind of crap. Earlier in the week, we covered a Florida district school board that banned a book about banning books. The story was very funny to me. But now we're going to dig a little deeper with that book's author. We're going to talk about why it was banned, what's in the book, and why this is so ridiculous, but also why there's a positive message tucked right in there. So, in Florida, the Indian River County School Board has decided to ban a book about banning books. That's a lot like banning a book about banning books. Oh, wait, that's exactly what they did. Joining here is an author of that piece of literature. His name is Gratz. He's the author of 20 novels for young people, including Refugee, Heroes, Ground Zero. These are available wherever books are sold, but we're not going to talk about any of those. We're going to talk about his book, aptly named Ban This Book, a novel. Alan, welcome. I'm so excited to talk to you.
Thanks, David. I'm glad to be here.
I do stories on this show at the beginning, and your story, this story, was my favorite this week. And my producer, who's amazing, just booked you without telling me. She is totally insane, but she's also amazing, which honestly, working with me, you'd have to be. Okay, before we go into what happened in Florida, do you want to give us a brief overview of Ban This Book and the inspiration behind it?
Sure. So Ban This Book is the story of a fourth grade girl named Amy Ann Ollinger who goes to a school where a parent starts challenging and banning books. And as a protest, Amy Ann and her friends take those books and hide them in her locker and start checking them out to other kids in secret as a banned book locker library. And they get into a little bit of trouble about that. The inspiration for it, really, this book came out 7 years ago, and I wrote it probably 9 to 10 years ago. And I had not myself had any books banned that I knew about. We can talk about that. A lot of these things happen invisibly, and so a lot of authors don't know when their books are challenged or banned in different places unless they blow up like this one and get lots of media coverage. But I hadn't had any kind of big experience with book banning, but I wanted to make kids vigilant about it because the American Library Association back then was saying that we were having about 1,000 books challenged or banned in the United States every year.
Wow.
And I felt like that was kind of flying under the radar. It was happening, but we weren't talking about it much. Cut to today, 7 years later, and we're in an epidemic where tens of thousands of books are being challenged and banned every year.
Were you trying to bait those who seek to censor by writing this? Were you trying to get it banned?
Listen, there was a little bit of steal this book in that title. I was not trying to get the book banned. I really wasn't. But the title is a dare. Ban this book. And somebody took me up on it. Somebody called my bluff. And look, I mean, that means the joke's on them, I think.
Yes. Very much so the joke's on them.
Right. Yeah. I really did not want the book to be banned, and I don't want any book to be banned. There's this myth that a banned book equals sales. Like if you get your book banned, it's a badge of honor and you're gonna roll around in the dough. And that's just not true. Look, this book may see a bump in sales. I've been on your podcast. I've been on a Daily Beast podcast. I've been in the Washington Post, the Guardian in England.
You're comparing this to Daily Beast and Washington Post.
I am. You are. I mean,
that's my greatest accolade. I'm going to put it on my website. Author compares show to Daily Beast.
Yeah, like you could listen to this with, that kind of thing. I always tell people that my books belong on the same shelf as John Green, alphabetically speaking. So, but I've gotten a lot of coverage, and it is likely that my book will see a sales bump because of it. But the truth is that I'm one of a very few books that are getting that kind of attention, while we have tens of thousands of books that are getting challenged and banned. And what happens to those is they disappear quietly. There's no stink made about them. Nobody's doing podcasts about them or putting them in the Guardian or whatever. And those books just disappear. They fall off a cliff. And the sales for those disappear, and the livelihoods for those authors disappear. And so the reality of the situation is that book bans and book challenges are devastating, especially to kidlit authors of color and people who identify as LGBTQ+. Those are the groups that are being targeted the most, and their books are just disappearing off shelves.
So it's not all fun and games. It doesn't happen once. There's media coverage, bump in sales. It's really killing small authors, people just getting their start, people who aren't making an amazing living already writing books.
Totally. There's lots of fun to be had with the crackpots who are banning books about banning books. And I'm totally ready to laugh about that. But the reality of the darker reality behind it all is that it's all about erasure. And look, the people, one of the defenses given in Indian River County for banning this book was not that there was anything wrong in my book. There was nothing that was objectionable that they wanted to ban in the book, except that the book listed other books that they had banned. So like just mentioning them. So when they talk about protecting kids, quote unquote, because, I often tell people the only way a book can really hurt a kid is if you throw it at them. But in terms of protecting kids, it puts paid to that lie. They're not trying to protect kids. They're trying to erase authors. They're trying to erase communities. And if they don't want my book, which doesn't really hurt kids in the way that they believe that books hurt kids, but lists the books that they want to erase, they're saying the quiet part out loud. They don't want these books on the shelves. They don't want my book to talk about those books.
They're behaving badly. They're censoring.
They
don't even have the courage to take ownership for it, because all you're saying is, hey, you did this.
That's right.
And they don't want that said.
Yeah, they're breaking their own rules too. So most counties have set in place a system for book challenges. So if a parent comes to a school board or to a librarian first, that's usually where it happens, and says, I don't think you should have this book in your library. The librarian says, okay, here's a form, fill it out. We're going to take the book to a committee, and the committee is going to read the book, and they're going to make sure that I haven't made a bad choice here. And the committee is usually made up of other trained librarians and people from the community, parents and other people from the community. They read the book, they make a recommendation to the school board, and then the school board can tell the librarian, no, you've made the wrong call, take this book out, or yeah, the committee, we agree with the committee and the book should stay. In this case, Ban This Book was read by the committee. They were like, oh my gosh, this is harmless. It should stay. The school board said, yeah, we still don't want it. Because, of course, it was calling them out for their foolishness. So they banned this book. They broke their own rules. Like, they had a system set up for this, and then they just kind of unilaterally decided, no, we're just going to override that. Because irony is dead, I guess.
Yes. Look, I'm pretty left-wing. I vote socialist in Canada. That's where I'm from. I live in New York now. I vote NDP. I'm sure some of my listeners are going to be like, I hate you for saying that. But I am going to play the devil's advocate, even though I completely disagree with this view. But the criticism of your book teaching rebellion against school board authority, how do you respond to that? If that is used as the justification, how would you respond to that accusation?
Yeah, totally. First of all, they broke the rules first. And so when you're trying to go up against people who break the rules, then it feels like when you play within the rules and they don't, then the system is already unbalanced. But I always point back to John Lewis, the congressman who famously was a part of the civil rights movement here in the United States and said that there is a time and a place for good trouble. Mm-hmm. And I am a big believer in good trouble. Look, good trouble does not hurt people. It doesn't destroy property. Good trouble is sit-ins. Good trouble is marches. Good trouble is doing things like taking books and sharing them with kids when the school board has said that the library can't. Okay, so the library didn't. The kids said, great, we'll get the books themselves and we'll talk about them ourselves. That's good trouble to me. And so I think if, number one, I think what I'm really promoting is civic engagement. I think their word for civic engagement is what did they say that I was challenging their authority? You know, it's not a challenge to authority when you actually disagree with somebody, so they didn't burn the schoolhouse down. They didn't dox people at their houses. You know, they didn't do stuff that's really dangerous or unhealthy. They played by the rules to begin with. The rules were unbalanced against them, unfairly set against them, and so they made some good trouble. That's the way I like to think of it.
Yeah, I would see it like this. For all the problems of the country, the wealth gap, foreign policy, you know what? I'm not going to list the problems of the United States. They are too numerous for this show.
We don't have time for that. We don't have time for that.
I feel like one of the things that's supposed to be good about this is you can challenge authority, maybe not with guns, but if you don't like the bosses, you can vote them out. You can run for office. Shouldn't we be teaching kids that? If you don't like the message, you can change it. And isn't that the message in the book, or at least part of it?
It should be. Yes, dissent is patriotic. I don't say that in the book, but I really believe that. And one of the big messages of the book is nobody has the right to tell you what you can and can't read except your parents. Because, of course, I'm writing for kids. And until they're like 18, your parents are still the boss of you. But what that means is that your parents can't then tell other kids and their parents how they should parent. They can't tell them what they should read, right? And that's the thing. You should be able to tell your kids, no, you can't read that book. I'm the boss of you. But then you can't tell anybody else's kids how to do that. And of course, one of the great ironies of this is that the woman who is behind most of these book banning challenges in this county in Florida couches this as parental choice. And I'm like, that is so Orwellian to call this parental choice and then take that choice away from every other parent in the county.
We are going to talk about these people, this mother, this group who are banning this book in just a moment. This conversation's just too good to end now. I'm here with Alan Gratz. He's the author of Ban This Book, a novel, a book recently banned by Florida's Indian River County School Board. We'll be back with more of him in a moment. In Florida, the Indian River County School Board has decided to ban a book about banning books. The irony, amazing, but the underlying message, kind of awful. I'm here to talk with the author of that book, Alan Gratz. The book, of course, Ban This Book. You can find many of other Alan's novels wherever books are sold, including Refugee, Heroes, and Ground Zero. He joins us from Portland. Alan, welcome back. This is a great discussion.
Thanks. It's been my life for the last couple of weeks talking about this book, which I'm happy to do in one way. Like, I love to talk about the book, and I am always ready to stand up and fight back against book banners and fight for the freedom to read. But it's been kind of a wild ride. I got word about this, I guess, in late May, and here we are in early to mid-June, and it's the story just kind of keeps gathering momentum as I think, again, because the title of the book is Ban This Book, and it's just incredibly ironic that they took me up on the challenge.
I love that you're using the momentum to speak up for other books that are being banned, and where they just disappear. The author can't get sales, and that's just hits their career, and they don't get press. We're going to talk about the group that advocated for this ban because they're hilariously named. We'll get to that irony in a second. But how did you feel when you first heard the book was, in fact, banned by Indian River County?
You know, I was disappointed. I was frustrated. But there was also a feeling of, yeah, here we go again. Not necessarily because of me. Ban This Book has had its opponents. I don't know of a place where they've actually gone through with banning it. I know it's been challenged in different places, but I don't think anybody's ever had the I don't know if courage is the right word, or maybe the ignorance to ban this book and bring this on themselves. But these folks finally did it, and whether they understand irony or just have no idea of it, I don't know. But they went ahead and did it. But to me, it's been part of a larger epidemic, as I said earlier. And I've actually joined up a group. I helped form a group in February called Authors Against Book Bans. And we have a website, authorsagainstbookbans.com, if people want to go there and read more about it. If you're an author and you're listening, we need you to sign up. We want authors from Kidlit. We want writers who write for adults. We want people of every genre. We want independently published authors. We want traditionally published authors. Everybody, if you got your name on a book, we want you as a part of the group. And our idea is that up until now, all of us authors have been getting emails or contacted by groups and saying, hey, your book is being challenged in Pennsylvania, in Virginia, in California, we had recently, in Florida, in Texas, wherever it is. And we're kind of playing whack-a-mole. We're like jumping on these things and responding to them often too late. I got the email about Ban This Book being banned after it was over. Like, I wasn't even able to write a letter. I'm in Portland, Oregon. I couldn't have gone to Florida to speak. But what we're trying to do with Authors Against Book Bans is get authors in every region so that when something like this happens, if we get enough lead time, we could say, hey, authors in Florida, if you live near Indian River County, can you please go speak at this school board meeting? Not just in defense of my book specifically, but in defense of the freedom to read. So we're trying to set up this nationwide organization where we can activate our members to go in and speak up for the freedom to read, and not have that burden put on the individual authors. Because as I said in the first segment, the onus of this is really disproportionately hitting writers of color and people who are LGBTQ+, whether their books have those themes in them or whether just they themselves identify that way and their books are being banned because of who they are. But they are disproportionately bearing the burden of book bans, and we need to spread that responsibility out among all authors so that we're all in this together.
I love that you formed this group, band together, get ahead of it. The fact that you couldn't speak at this hearing, I imagine the judge, jury, and executioner were all there, and the sentence was books ban, and you hear about it afterward. Right. Not that it's a court of law, but still, you should be given a chance to speak at something like that. That's my opinion, at least.
You think so? I don't know if it would have changed anything, but at least I would have had my day in court, so to speak.
At least you can speak up for what you think is right against these people. They may still make their decision. Now, let's talk about these people. I did go to the Oxford English Dictionary, and I looked up the definition of the word liberty. Freedom from arbitrary, despotic, or autocratic control, independence. All right, freedom from despotic control. I don't think that falls under banning a book that isn't like obscene. And honestly, in my opinion, banning books that are obscene would still fall under that. But the group that banned your book, or at least push for it, Moms for Liberty. Again, I don't think they're using the definition of liberty that they don't think liberty means what I think it means.
No, I agree, and I think a lot of times I think the name of their group is just to troll us. I mean, I think that they deliberately picked a name that is antithetical to what they're doing on purpose, just to get under the skin of their enemies. Obviously they are not advocating for liberty. They are trying to restrict the books that are available, not only in school libraries, but in public libraries. And really, ultimately, I think that their biggest goal is kind of the destruction of the public education system. And this is just a way into the back door of the public education system and a way to take it down from inside.
Is it so, they want to impose theocratic views? Like they want to impose a certain view of Christianity, I guess would be the stereotype from groups like that?
I think so. I also think that a lot of this is racist. And I really believe that, look, publishing has been a very white industry for a long time. Most editors are white. The majority of writers, like me, for your listeners, I'm white. And male and middle class and cisgender. And so I am like according to what the kind of people that Moms for Liberty is banning, like the least offensive author in terms of their viewpoint. And so I've gotten to skate by a little bit, but I really think that we've started to make modest gains in publishing. We understand that it needs to be more diverse. So they're hiring more diverse editors. They are trying to publish more diverse books. And I think what we're seeing from Moms for Liberty is less about the theocracy, because of course that's all hypocritical too. Like anybody who claims to be Christian and votes for Trump, I don't know how those two things go together personally, but
also the Bible is filled with smut. Like that is an obscene. That's an obscene book.
It's true. It's true, and it often gets banned. The Bible is actually one of the most banned books. But but I think that what happened is when we started to make modest gains and we started to see books show up on the shelves that had diverse voices and diverse themes, and that's why we immediately got the pushback from groups like Moms for Liberty. I think these people crawled out from under the rocks they've been living under, and they said, "This is a threat to me and my way of life because I'm having authority taken away from me." What little authority these people already had. And I think that's why they're coming after these other voices, is they don't want any other voices to crowd out theirs. They want to, I think it's very much based on racism. And look, when I wrote Ban This Book 7 years ago, or more than that, but it came out 7 years ago, the books that I have that are challenged and banned in the book, first of all, are all books that were really challenged or banned in the United States since 1990. I use real books in there. But the books that were being banned 7 years ago were not the books that are being banned today. 7 years ago, the top 10 list included stuff like Captain Underpants, because disrespect for adults. It would have the Harry Potter books because of it promoted witchcraft, right? Like you had real crackpot stuff for the book bans. And occasionally you had a book that was banned, like My Two Moms, because of a gay agenda or whatever. That's what they say.
Yeah, people can't see your air quotes. I get it.
Right. Yeah, that's right. So I want to make sure people understand this is not me saying this. That's what they would say. So that's what was happening 7 years ago. Now, all those books, like the Harry Potter books, the Captain Underpants books, those are not in the top 10 anymore. What we're seeing is books by people of color and books by people who are LGBTQ+. Those are the ones they're coming after. Why? Because they feel their place in society threatened. And I think that's what's really behind it.
So going back to the book, Ban This Book, is there anything you would hope young readers would take away from, is it Amy Ann's story?
Yeah, Amy Ann's story. Yeah. Yeah, totally. So, the one of the things that the kids learn at the end, and this is kind of like the big third act, is they realize that they can play the same game that the adults are. So the good trouble they get into is they take as many of those challenge forums as they can, and they go through the library and they challenge every single book. They find something wrong with every single book because you can. And what the lesson of the book is that if you give every single person in your district one book that they could ban off the shelf, right? If you could let them say, like, what is it that you don't like? And then you get to take a book off the shelf. At the end of the day, guess how many books you have left on the shelf? 0.
None, yeah.
And that's what the kids do. They get all of their friends together, and throughout the day, hiding out in the bathroom, in a bathroom stall, they're like listing all the books. They're like, oh, Magic Treehouse, there's definitely some building code violations in Magic Treehouse. That would never pass muster, and they're like coming up with the silliest reasons. But of course, that's really when you dig down deep into the book challenges and bannings that we have now, the reasons are equally silly. And so the kids really call out the adults for their silliness. And so I hope that what kids can learn is that they have a voice, that they can speak up, and that there is a way for them to fight for the freedom to read. And we're seeing this happen. There are groups like in Pennsylvania. There's a group of high schoolers who got together and said, we're tired of these adults, these few adults in our community challenging and banning books. We want to read these books, and they're speaking up and they're fighting back. And so that's what I hope that kids take away from it, is that they have a voice in this.
Alan, thanks for going over this stuff. I love the message. You seem like a great guy. I'm glad you're getting this press, and I'm glad the ways in which you're speaking up. Thanks for doing the interview.
Thanks, David. I appreciate it.
Alan Gratz, the author of 20 novels for young adults, including Refugee, Heroes, Ground Zero, and of course, Ban This Book. Dengue, dengue, dengue. It's caused by mosquitoes. Do you have to worry about it? Should you change your summer travel plans? We're going to talk to a biologist up next to go over dengue fever. Ooh. We are back. If you are planning on traveling this summer, there might be some precautions you want to take. Dengue fever, it's everywhere. It's affecting everyone, and 9 out of 10 people die every day from it. None of those stats are true, but I do want to get behind what's really going on because it's kind of scary. I'm here with an assistant professor from University of Toronto. She works in the biology department, in the ecology and evolutionary biology department. Rosalind Murray. Rosalind, thank you for talking to me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
How was that for an introduction? I'm scared of all diseases. I have what's it called, empathetic hypochondria. The second somebody starts saying they have something, I start getting the symptoms. And so dengue fever scares me a lot. What is it before we get into the current situation of it?
Okay, so I'd like to just point out that I'm not a medical doctor, but I do know enough about dengue to know that it feels mostly like a fever, flu-like stuff. Very rarely it can be fatal because of complications. But yes, it's hard to initially diagnose, I think, because it mostly just mimics the flu.
But in bad cases, it can be super serious and, kill you kind of thing?
Yeah, it's very rare, though. Yes, it can kill you. Technically, it can be fatal.
Great. Love that. Love to hear it. We love that. Okay, well, let's look at it from like a biology perspective. What's going on? How is it spreading? Where has it been historically and where is it now?
Yeah, so I am an entomologist and I study the insects that carry the disease. So I study mosquitoes, mostly the ones that happen in Canada. Just side note, we don't know a ton about Canadian mosquitoes or temperate mosquitoes for good reason. We know mostly about the ones that carry the horrific diseases that kill a lot of humans. So the tiger mosquito, so Aedes albopictus, this is the species that carries dengue. It is mostly it is entirely a tropical species. We basically don't see it in Canada. It's just too cold here. It hangs out in human-associated environments. So it's not in our ponds and marshes and lakes. It is hanging out in like abandoned flower pots and like dog bowls that haven't been washed out in a little while, kiddie pools, that kind of thing, like human-associated gross little pockets of water that it loves that kind of space to be able to lay its eggs.
Filthy water, sewage, basically.
Really gross. Mosquitoes in general love gross water. They thrive on it because nothing else can live there. So there's no competitors, there's no predators. They're like, we're good. And they also breathe air as babies. So lots of aquatic insects actually have gills. And then when they emerge, so like dragonflies have gills in their butt, actually. So rectal gills. But that's a fun fact for you. There you go.
No, I mean, that's right up my alley. That's why I have scientists on, so I can say things like rectal gills without getting in trouble.
Yes. So dragonfly babies, so the larvae do have rectal gills. And so the water quality really matters. But mosquito babies and lots of other different species actually have a siphon that they stick out of the water. So they breathe air. So they're kind of exempt from like the lack of oxygen in most gross bits of water. And so that's how they thrive there. And it takes about 4 days for them to turn over. So, like from egg to adulthood, it can take about 4 days if the temperature is warm enough. So, in Canada, with our species that we work with, 25 degrees, so 22 to 25 is perfect. And then you get this 4 day turnover, and it's just so quick. So, twice a week, you really need to be dumping out all those little bits of water. Otherwise, you're going to see a whole bunch of mosquitoes. Fortunately for us, tiger mosquitoes just don't make it this far north. Once in a while, we get one or two kind of in the Windsor area in Ontario. In the northern US, they don't thrive either, but in the southern US, you do see a whole bunch of mosquitoes. And in southern Europe, where it can be warm enough, this is where they're starting to see these tiger mosquitoes moving into some of these southern Europe countries.
So I'm picturing my pretty Mediterranean vacation, like on the beach,
Yes.
and then boom, I get dengue fever. That's what I should be worried about, not getting it hiking up in like the Northwest Territories or even in the Northeastern United States.
Right. Yeah, you're probably, so I should say both places are pretty safe. So Europe, even though they are seeing an increase in cases, the vast majority of cases that Europe sees still come from abroad. So they come from these tropical places. I think an order of magnitude more. So they've seen hundreds of cases, like 130, I think, in the last year, that were locally caught. So it was people that were bitten by a mosquito in Europe. They haven't been traveling elsewhere, which means that was a locally acquired case. Whereas most of the cases come from people flying in from other warmer places.
Okay, so my stat at the beginning, 9 out of 10 people die every day. There isn't actually too much cause for alarm. Certainly not here. Less so in Europe. It is possible, but not like a pandemic situation.
Yes.
Should we be worried about any mosquito-borne illnesses in Ontario, in the northeastern United States, in Canada, in the U.S.?
So dengue, not really. So we do in Canada, at least I know we do get cases, like a few hundred cases of dengue every year. But again, they are all travel related. We don't have any locally acquired cases in Canada. In the northern US, I bet the stats are identical to that. In the southern US, you do have locally acquired cases. So it's harder in the US because the southern part of the country is a lot more tropical. And you can get locally acquired cases there. The cases of disease that we should be more worried about in Canada are stuff like West Nile virus or equine encephalitis. Again, we're pretty lucky in these temperate regions. I mean, we suffer through these long winters, but that means it kills off a lot of really dangerous stuff. So West Nile virus, still very rare. Even in years where we see these big peaks in the northern US and in Canada, we still don't see like huge numbers.
Why do mosquitoes and viruses get along so well? It's like they were on Tinder and mosquitoes swiped right on viruses. Like they seem like they're best friends. And as a result, I'm terrified of mosquitoes. Fun fact, I'm not actually allergic to them. When they bite me, they suck my blood and they fly away. And they don't leave a mark. Like I think there's a saliva in them or something that most people are allergic to, and I just don't have that allergy. I'm still terrified of them, but back to my original question.
I mean, don't spread that around. You're like the mom at baby groups whose baby sleeps through the night. Like, don't spread that around. Nobody feels bad for you that you're scared of mosquitoes now. They're the most annoying.
Well, I'm just scared they spread disease. They do sting me. They just don't leave a mark. But back to my original question before I just worked myself into the conversation. Why mosquitoes and viruses? Why are they seemingly best friends?
So it's pretty hard, actually, for a mosquito to pass on a disease. This is like a thing that is not really talked about a lot. But so first of all, only female mosquitoes can pass on a disease. Male mosquitoes are vegetarian. They go and they forage on plants. We're slowly starting to work out that they are kind of important pollinators, which is annoying to like know how important they are for the environment, just in a new way. We knew they were a good food source before, which everybody's kind of on board with, feeding fun things like fish and birds and dragonflies and bats. Like that's kind of a nice way to be. But now They're doing a service for us. They're pollinating flowers that we like and crops. Female mosquitoes are the only ones that can bite us. They bite birds, a lot of them. So there's a whole group of species that won't even touch humans. They don't like mammalian blood. So they only eat birds or they only eat reptiles. And so you have these species specific interactions. So those ones are out in terms of passing viruses on to us. It's the ones that are generalists that can actually move between birds. So lots of West Nile virus cases actually come from birds. So we can start to see, if numbers are going to be high, we start to see lots of birds that have West Nile virus. And so then we can know that it's probably coming to the humans. But a lot of mosquitoes only eat once. So the females only take one blood meal in their entire lives. And so you can't get the virus from one host to another if you only eat one blood meal. So these are North American species. I'm not talking about tiger mosquitoes. I'm not sure what the data is on those, but it's very rare to be able to have a bird that has the disease or a human, some host that has the disease, have a female mosquito bite them, be a suitable host for that disease. So thinking of all these different species that can bite the birds, bite the humans, be a suitable host, and then decide, you know what, there's a human. I am also going to take a second blood meal during my lifetime, which is very rare. And I am going to pass on this disease. So it's really, really, really rare for a lot of these diseases to be able to be passed on. And I think the fact that we see so many diseases actually speaks to the fact that there are so many mosquitoes.
Yeah.
There's just globally so many mosquitoes. So there's a lot of stuff that has to happen for diseases to be passed on.
So the odds aren't amazing, but because there's so many of them, these diseases, the viruses are really playing the odds with the mosquitoes.
Yes, exactly. And there's so many mosquitoes. They just act as this transient host, right? They're not actually infected in a terrible way. They don't experience the same types of sickness behaviors. And actually for West Nile virus specifically, lots of hosts, human and avian hosts, don't experience any symptoms, are completely asymptomatic.
I want to rewind to when you said the word blood meal. Is this a term in science, in biology? Yeah. Why hasn't sci-fi or vampire shows picked up on this word? This is a great word, blood meal. I've never heard it before.
Yeah, they don't want your skin. They don't, black flies, they like take a chunk out of you. They have these like gross mouth parts that they're not actually gross. They're very cool. But they have these mouth parts that kind of like clamp down and take a piece of flesh. Mosquitoes have these like hypodermic needle like mouth parts, and they like pull back their lips and they like suck your blood. Just want blood. They don't want anything else from you.
Love it. So what I'm hearing is everybody needs to wear a full beekeeper suit all summer if they want to live. Those were your words. That's what you said.
Yes, exactly what I said.
I'm kidding. I guess we don't have to worry too much about dengue. Rosalind, this was fun and informative. Thanks for going over this stuff with me.
Okay, great.
Rosalind Murray is an assistant professor of biology and ecology and evolutionary biology at University of Toronto. Have you ever wanted two idiots to discuss 10 radio topics generated by AI? No, you haven't? Well, that's what's coming up next with foreign correspondent Tony Five. And we are back with foreign correspondent Tony Five. Tony, welcome to the show, my friend.
David, you've resorted to using Apple Intelligence, haven't you?
I have resorted to using Apple Intelligence yesterday.
The new AI, David, the new AI.
No, I know. That's yes. The answer is yes.
Alternative intelligence? Why don't we start a new, following? Anal intelligence, David.
Those people are out there. The truth is out there.
Anal intelligence, David. We can talk about big anal.
The truth is out there. Okay, so because I'm lazy and because it's first thing in the morning, I asked Chat FUCK to come up with 10 topics to explore on a radio show. Number 1.
Hit me. What did anal intelligence say? Go on. You can't laugh before you tell the joke.
It's not actually funny. It's just so bad it's funny.
Brilliant.
The future of urban transportation.
David, this is a topic, I don't know whether you know, but I'm actually quite the expert on this.
Yeah, but it says discuss emerging technologies like electric scooters, self-driving cars, and hyperloop systems. I don't even know what those are.
David, I can explain. You're lucky, David. You're actually talking to one of the foremost experts on urban transportation.
It's funny, the last sentence is invite experts or enthusiasts to weigh in on the pros and cons.
David, I'm both an expert and an enthusiast, or as like we like to call it in the industry, an E&E.
Can't they give the hyperloop medication to just make it a loop?
No, it used to be called the ADHD loop. Obviously now, because of racism, we just call it the hyperloop. We've gone back to basics and being offensive. It was called the super duper loop when I first started many, many years ago in the industry. What they want us to do now, the hyperloop is essentially a big tube. You get in it and it just shoots you round in circles. It's phenomenal.
Oh, I'm looking at it. You're not making that up.
No, I'm not.
So you just lay in there, or if it's big enough to have a bunch of seats and it's like pneumatic kind of, I guess?
Yeah, I don't know whether you have the same thing in supermarkets in the States, but whenever you cash up at a till, you would put this money in this little tube, put it in the pipe, and it just flies up and then flies to the cash office. It's essentially that, and you are the cash.
Yeah, you are the cash. I've seen that where they used to have it in old office buildings here in New York before email.
It actually does make that noise.
Yeah.
It's artificial, of course. It's not a real noise. The real noise is as the person flies.
Wow.
But essentially, the noise that they put over it in anal intelligence is going to be all right.
You make
anything
no
else?
sense.
Any other questions?
Wow, these are sustainable living tips. Provide practical advice how listeners can live more sustainably, covering topics like reducing waste, conserving energy, and supporting eco-friendly business. Tony, do you believe climate change is a lie?
Yes. But the first way to sustainable life is to eat.
Yeah, that'll sustain your life.
There you go.
Do you actually not believe in climate change?
No.
Why?
One, I can't spell it. Number two, it's always rained in England. I can't see any change in my lifetime.
Great. Okay. All right. Screw you.
Next.
Behind the scenes of the music industry, explore what it takes to make it
Okay.
Yeah. I can't read.
I mean,
the earlier in the morning, the more dyslexic I am. That's why I'm having so much trouble reading these.
It's fine. And early in the morning, that's how lexic I am. So, I mean, I can't believe. So, behind the scenes of any music conference, I have spent my life sweeping up, doing the aircon sides, picking up rubbish. Behind the scenes is very, very different to in front of the scenes, or as we like to call it, stage front. So carry on.
I hate you. It's so early here.
I know. I can feel your pain. I'm at my peak insanity,
I know.
And you're barely waking up, which is such a great dynamic.
I'm also, I don't know if this is narcissism or insecurity, although those two things are often paired. I'm like, can't help but think, well, I've got morning voice right now. But people know this is a podcast and that it's pre-taped. Like they aren't listening to it live, but I'm still triggered because my old producer, if I would sleep before my show, he'd be like, you sound like you have morning voice. Or if I tape things and put them into a live show, he'd criticize me. So,
David.
Yeah.
Have you spoken to your therapist about this? It sounds really painful.
No.
I mean, your voice sounds crap all the time,
True.
regardless of time of day.
True. Okay.
Hey, carry on.
All right. Do you like concerts? Are you like, because for me, they're just too loud. I don't care for them.
I mean, you stand next to the speakers, but for me, I'm very far back, almost Netflix back, as we like to call it. But no, I like a good gig. I don't like the crowds. I don't like people jumping into me and bouncing into me, but I've been to my fair share of gigs. In fact, topical story, last night I was at Alexandra Palace, a Victorian new build palace, and I saw Jimmy Carr live, the comedian.
Oh, wow. How was he?
Very good, very offensive. One of his best jokes were, I don't know whether I can say this, maybe I'll be cancelled. Maybe you can put a trigger warning out.
Trigger warning, Tony's about to tell a racist, sexist, homophobic, what kind of joke?
Yeah, but he's very, very much about to be cancelled. He makes jokes about everything and everybody. And he said a very, very funny joke. And obviously there's an R word that you can't use for people with learning disabilities and so on. And people get cancelled for using it. So instead of saying that, he said those people are on airplane mode, which I found very, very funny. But that was me.
Evolution of video games. Discuss the history of video games from early arcade games to modern VR experiences. Interview game developers, critics, and avid gamers about their favorite games and the future of gaming. Yesterday, I had an expert on who thinks VR porn is, I don't know, ruining society. Have you tried virtual reality pornography?
Never. I barely try normal pornography, virtual or otherwise. I used to love computer games. I mean, the old school Street Fighter, where I could play them. Now you need a degree in computer science to even attempt it.
Dude, you need more than that. I have a degree in computer science, and I can't make sense of some of these newer games.
Dude, there's 8-year-old Russian kids swearing at me while I play Call of Duty. I think that's the basis for the Ukraine war. I don't think there was anything about power invasions. One Ukrainian, generally young 18-year-old guy was playing some 50-year-old Russian guy on Call of Duty. They got annoyed. They started a war. Job done.
Agreed. Pet care and training tips. Offer advice on pet care, training techniques, and common pet health issues.
Very easy, David. Again, all of these topics are out in the park for you. You lucky radio show host. You've got an expert in all of these. I did actually get a lot of these Groupons for Christmas, to be fair. So pet care, fantastic. One trick with a dog is to rub its fur or coat with olive oil. Gives them a nice coat.
What?
Yeah.
Olive oil on your pet? No, I can't condone that.
Yeah, olive oil on the pet. Just don't do it in the summer because they fry. But in the normal times, you put a bit of olive oil and it's fine.
Feeding your pet is a good way to keep them alive as well.
Yeah. Another one, did you know if you put a tortoise or turtle, as you say in America, upside down, it will right itself? It's a common myth that they stay upside down and die.
Wow.
Yeah, they're very clever animals.
The
turtles.
history and influence of jazz music. Delve into the origins of jazz, its evolution, and its impact on other music genres.
Okay, so my statement on jazz is it's absolutely awful music. They don't know what they're doing.
What?
And then there's people that are jazz aficionados. They know even less than the musicians and think it's cool and trendy. I believe people start liking jazz either because they're virgins, number one. Number two, they don't like the popular stuff, number two. And when they hit about 55, all of a sudden they become jazz and they go, oh, no, we've got to have it on record or vinyl because it sounds better. Shut up. Have you not heard of Spotify or Taylor Swift? Move along.
I love jazz, and I think America's exported a lot of bad things, destabilizing whole areas of the world so they can have oil. But one of America's gifts to the world, I think, is jazz. Yeah.
Did America invent jazz?
Yeah, definitely. Came out of New Orleans.
Who invented it? Who was the first jizz?
Dr. Edmund Jazz. I don't know.
Okay, yeah, cool.
Okay, we got 10 seconds for this one. I think we can cover in 10 seconds. Understanding cryptocurrency and blockchain. Explain the basics of cryptocurrency, blockchain technology, and potential implications for the future.
Buy high, sell low, have a computer.
We got a block, and then you put the chains in the block, and then the blocks are chained together. And then the money goes in the block, and then more money comes out, maybe, but not always.
Money, you're a winner.
Yeah. Tony, thank you for going over 10 radio topics to explore on your... I got to stop using AI. Good morning, my friend.
Fantastic.
When we come back, more of whatever this is with Tony. Nobody asked for it. Nobody likes it. Nobody wanted it to continue, but it's continuing. 10 things to talk about on the radio as generated by AI. I'm here with foreign correspondent Tony 5. My voice has not woken up yet, but that is okay. Tony 5, welcome back.
David, this is a pleasure. We might start doing this again. So, again, I'm mid-afternoon here in the UK. You're early morning there in the US of A. And the dynamic has shifted, David. I am absolutely on fire. You have picked all of the topics I am an expert in. And I believe you're going to probably pick some more expertise-based topics on me again. Go for it.
The world of esports. Discuss the rise of competitive gaming, major tournaments, and the lifestyle of professional gamers. Interview esports players, coaches, and analysts. God, I cannot read when I'm tired. I do have dyslexia. I'm not just saying that. It's so much worse when I'm tired. It's weird.
Wow. Esports, slightly better than D sports, worse than F sports, David. I have been a coach. I've been a player. And esports, in my opinion, are good. They're for the virgins of the community, where people don't really have a social life, spend their lives playing football because they know if they're on a football field, they'll probably pass out with an asthma attack.
All right. Ethical animal farming. Explain the standards and practices that ensure farm animals are raised humanely. Feature interviews with farmers, veterinarians, and animal rights advocates. What about the animal left's advocates? God, that wasn't funny. Kill me.
David, I have never met a good animal farmer. Rabbits make awful farmers. Goats, absolutely horrific farmers. Cows, good lord, the mess.
I hate you.
They can't do anything. So I don't believe any animal should be a farmer.
That wasn't the question.
Controversial topic, I know. Controversial opinion, even worse.
All right.
Carry on, David.
I just asked it to generate 10 more because I think we're out at this point. The world of fashion. Discuss the latest fashion trends, the history of fashion, the impact of fashion on culture. I don't think culture's been too impacted by fashion. Otherwise, we might be dead. You know, if fashion flew from space and impacted us. See, it's not funny when I do it. It's not funny when you do it.
No, you're not funny at all, David, today. I don't know what's happening. Is it the morning?
I'm tired, dude. I'm fucking tired.
Okay, so basically, fashion is a strange one. At what point did we go from not wearing clothes to wearing clothes and then to be judged about what clothes we wear? Very strange world, right?
Isn't it when Adam gave Eve the pear or something? Isn't that when they're like, oh no, we're naked? Isn't that part of the Bible?
No, that was a really, really, really bad sex club story.
Okay.
Again, prolonged by the Bible, but I think, Adam and Eve, they probably had an American Outfitters nearby.
Yeah, probably.
And they could have just worn it on, or Gap.
It could be the Gap. Oh, I like this one.
Go
The
for it.
science of foam formation. Explore how foam forms, including the chemical and physical processes involved. Interview chemists and material scientists for detailed explanations. Wow.
Wow. David, you have tapped into one of the hidden resources of foam advocates in the world. Now, again, I need to sit up right now. If anybody was watching this, they can see me sit forward, adjust my glasses, and adjust my hands. Now, what I don't know about foam. Yeah, what I don't know about foam.
Nothing. You know everything about it?
That's pretty much it. Foam, it's white. It's
no, it can be
soft.
gray. It can be black. I've seen black foam.
Racist, David.
God.
No. Racist.
What's your favorite foam? Styrofoam, neoprene? I don't know any other foams.
Oh,
Sea foam? There's the foam that forms on the ocean?
I like the foam that comes in packaging that you can flake with your hands and give little beads, and it kind of looks like snow or dandruff.
Wow.
Do you like that?
No, that's fungus.
Apparently, that's the stuff that kills like animals in the ocean. But apart from that, it's fantastic.
Wow, I asked for 10 more weird questions, and they're all involving foam.
Wow. Again, they must know that I'm the foremost expert in foam, David. So
well, I kind of cheated. I said, give me a topic having to deal with foam, because foam came to mind. I'm like, that's a weird topic. And then I said, give me 10 more really weird and obscure topics. And now it just thinks foam is on the brain. So foam in space missions, foam in art installations, the acoustics of foam, biodegradable foams and funguses. God, I cannot read. Historical uses of natural foams, foam in paranormal investigations.
Ectoplasm, I think they called it in their side.
Yeah, it's saying uncover the use of foam in unconventional paranormal research, including the physical representations of ectoplasm in ghost hunting. What is ectoplasm?
David, you look surprised and sound surprised that I know so much about ghost spunk.
I'm surprised you know anything about anything, my friend.
Yeah, so, David, ghosts have needs too.
Okay, so it's ghost splooge.
Yeah, basically.
Lovely.
I'll go through it slowly with you, but when a lady ghost and a man ghost, or a man ghost and a man ghost, or a lady ghost and a lady ghost love each other, natural things happen, David.
When mommy and daddy ghosts love each other.
David, they don't need to be in a committed relationship. It's the 2000s, David.
Unusual foam party trends. What are the?
Yes.
Oh, have you ever seen a foam party? I've seen them on TV.
I've been to a foam party.
Ugh. What, you just wear a bathing suit or you naked?
No, you wear fully clothed, and then it's basically in like the dance islands like Ibiza or the Spanish islands, and they fill the dance floor with foam, and then you dance in it and you can't see each other, you grope. There's a lot of sexual misconduct now. I think they've stopped it.
Yeah, it's just a cover to grab people, I guess.
Yep. Yeah.
The
apparently it was very toxic for a while, so a lot of people losing their sight.
The role of foam in disaster relief.
Good
oil spills. Don't they use it to soak up oil?
Not to soak up oil, but to smother the oil. Obviously, you know the fire triangle. You've got fire, oxygen, and a black person. Once you take one of the three out of the fire triangle, you stop the fire. Carry on, David.
I hate you. Foam in bizarre beauty treatments.
Now, snail foam is a very, 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 very famous one in Korea. They use the foam. The slime.
The smuck, the smudging from like the what do you call that?
The snail trail.
Yeah, the snail trail. No, what do you call it? Like goop that.
Yeah, the snail trail. The goop
There's
stuff.
a word for the goop that coats animals. Fish have it. Snails have it.
Snail, what's it called? This is a wonderful podcast. I'm loving today. What is it called, David?
This is probably the worst thing we've ever recorded, but this is mucus. It's the mucus.
Mucus. Oh, David, do you ever have these words that you say that it just makes you feel disgusting? Mucus is one of them. Should I tell you what the other one is?
What?
Moist.
Yeah, you're not alone there. People find that word strange, and I never understood it. I find the word wretch to be disgusting. Like, I think of people throwing up when I hear the word wretch.
Weirdly, there's a rapper in the UK called Wretch32, very popular.
Well, it doesn't just mean to gag. It means, like, awful person, doesn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
Like Amazing Grace, how sweet, blah, 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 like a wretch like me. You know, he's not... Amazing Grace is not vomiting. Is he the person who's the subject of Amazing Grace? I think it might be that, yeah. But so you don't like wretch. I don't like moist. What else don't I like? There's a couple of words in a dictionary that I find very, like, ugh, type thing. They make you... You've said it a few times. Splooge. Splooge is another one. And there's a word that doesn't exist, but I think it should. And it's called clunge. Plunge?
Clunge.
I have a list of words as generated by AI.
Yep.
I used AI to start my show yesterday. I mean, we're using it to end the show today. I'm never doing this again. It's terrible.
Okay.
But ointment, people find gross.
No, that's all right.
Panties. My girlfriend can't stand panties. If we're getting busy and I say panties, done. She's not in the mood anymore. I have to say underwear.
Panties awful. No.
I don't mind
panties.
It. Phlegm.
Oh, now you're top tier. This is top tier aggressive words. Phlegm.
Can you spell phlegm, Tony? Because I'm looking.
P-H-E-L-G-M.
Yeah, you're right. But I was. I'm looking at the word now. I'm like, I could have never. That would have been spell checked. Oh, secrete. That's another one.
No, don't mind that. I secrete a lot.
Pustule?
Oh, now, both the former pustule and the shortened version, pus. Oh, my God. Filth. Carry on.
This one I can understand why people don't like, but I myself don't find it an issue. It sounds like it should be a gross word. Curd. Like cheese curd.
Yeah. Isn't that one of the basis of poutine?
Yeah, it is.
Again, poutine, something that you put in your mouth and eat or pay for, filthy.
Rasputin, the Russian.
Very famous Russian, half Canadian inventor of the chip-based product, David.
Rasputin?
Yeah, Rasputin.
Viscous? People find viscous to be gross?
No, I did a lot of research at university. Viscous comes in all forms like fluidity and stuff, so no, I don't mind that.
Yeast?
Oh, yes. Reminds me of my teenage life.
Cyst is another one.
Again, it used to be like pustule. It was associated. Unfortunately, nowadays, cyst is associated with cancer. So not really awful, but still not very nice.
So you like cancer. Gurgle?
No, but girdle. Oh.
Fetch me my girdle. I have been with someone who wears a girdle.
No, have you? Who was that? Can you say?
I'm not going to do it. Tony, welcome back. I don't even know I said welcome. This was honestly the worst 20 minutes.
This is the best time of my life. I think we've ever.
You know, it is what it is. It's Friday. This is the
Listeners,
best.
if you love David in the morning and Tony in the afternoon, please petition David at david@jew.pizza.
Petition me.
Petition him.
For what?
I don't know. It's nice just to get a petition every now and again, isn't it? I would like a petition now and again.
Tony, thank you.
David, this has been absolutely epic. If anybody wants us on for a third time, it's not going to happen. I've got to go to the toilet.
When we come back, a film critic fresh back from Cannes is going to give his take on some of the new movies out there that are going to be in theaters over the next little while and what their Oscar prospects are. So we got that to look forward to. We are here to talk movies, what films might go to the Oscars, life, the universe, everything. We're here with a UK-based movie critic and proud cat dad, Luke Hearfield. Luke, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much, man. Thanks for having me.
So what is going to be at the Oscars, I guess, is the great question. I have no idea. I've seen some stuff in theaters, but some new stuff that I haven't seen was just showing at Cannes. I don't even know how to say it.
You sound like my mom. I'm always correcting her, saying it's Cannes, mom, not Cannes. Yeah, she always likes yes, but yeah, it's Cannes, the Cannes Film Festival.
I in a former life was, how much can I say about this? Someone I dated, someone in their family was a film critic, and so she went to Cannes one year, and because it's French, obviously it's in France. And if you have the highest pass, the highest access level pass, it's a white card. I think that's just the way it works in.
Why you gotta be white?
Well, yeah, there's it says there was a sign to get into one of the parties that she went to, and it said carte blanche seulement or something, like white cards only. But then the English translation, it just said whites only. And it's like, oh my God, that's my only Cannes story.
Brilliant. I'm glad to say that Cannes has evolved with the times. I mean, there's still a little bit stuck in the past when it comes to flip-flops and shorts and stuff at certain screenings, but hey, at least they seem to have cooled off a little bit in recent years. Yeah,
I don't think it was an intentional racist. Okay, so what are you excited about? What do you think are films to watch for the Oscars next year?
Well, let me just start by saying that this is like my 7th time going to Cannes, and usually every year I get a good sense of these will be our Players Come Awards season. Usually have a pretty good sense for that, but compared to last year, this definitely didn't feel as much of a buzzy year to me. Last year was a very, very generous year for titles. We had Kills the Flower Moon, May December, Now May Fall, The Zone of Interest, Elemental, Fallen Leaves. It was such a good year last year that this year almost felt like it was going to come up short, what with the SAG and writers' strikes and stuff and things being delayed because of it. So it did feel like there was potential for it to be less buzzy this year. And it was a little less buzzy, but there were still a few apples amongst the mix, which I think will get people excited. The big title, of course, is the one that took home the top prize, the Palme d'Or, which is Sean Baker's Anora. That is a film that has gotten people very excited, very intrigued by it. It's got a lot of buzz surrounding it. I saw it myself, absolutely fell in love with it. This film is such a wild, wild ride. It's funny, it's heartfelt, it's incredibly modern and sincere and grounded in reality. And it's dealing with another topic that Sean Baker is just a champion for the unsung or the misunderstood. And this is a film all about sex workers, about the titular Anora, who is a exotic dancer, and she does some sex work on the side. There's a rags to riches story where she marries the heir to a Russian billionaire, like in Vegas on a whim. And the rest of the film is just absolute pandemonium with the Russian lad's family trying to find them and get the marriage annulled because he married a stripper. And it's funny. It's kind of a screwball comedy, and it's rare to see films like this, take the top prize they can. But yeah, as hilarious as it is, it's also kind of devastating as well. Like especially the ending left me in bits. So yeah, I can't wait for more people to see it, to discuss it more. But yeah, add that one to your must-watch list. That's going to be a serious player this year. I can see nominations for Best Picture. Hopefully, Sean Baker will get his long overdue first Oscar nomination for writing and direction. So 2, hopefully, for him. And even potential for editing as well. This editing is, I don't know, the first half of this film, or the first act, is like he's done cocaine in the editing booth because it's so slapdash fast, so chaotic, so frantic, but it's really well done, really suits the tone of the movie. So yeah, he could also get nominated for editing. Mikey Madison, I mean, this film is going to catapult her into the A-list. Like, I mean, she's already fairly well known for films like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but now people are really going to be paying attention to her. Like, this is going to like make her explode once more people see it. So yeah, Best Actress nomination seems very likely. Like, goes hand in hand with Best Picture. She is the titular Honora, or Annie, as she goes by in the movie. And then there's the discussion of the supporting players. There's Mark Eldenstein, who plays the Russian lad Ivan. He also gives a firecracker. It's not a debut performance, but it might as well be a debut. Like, it's one of those roles where you go, "Who is this kid? Where has he been hiding all along?" Like, you're going, this kid is exciting. What he's doing is very, magnetic to watch while he's on screen. So there's room for him to potentially come along as part of its bundle, maybe as a best actor, maybe supporting actor. There's also other roles that could be considered more supporting, which are played by Yuri Borisov and who's the other one? Both incredible in that. But I can foresee Honora getting a nice bundle of nominations, somewhere between maybe 4 and 6 or 7. It depends how it's received when it's generally released. But yeah, I can see it's going to be one of those movies that's big crowd pleaser. I think a lot of people are going to fall in love with it. And yeah, I'm expecting big things for that one.
Sounds great. Chaotic, edgy, a champion for the unseen sex workers in this case, and wacky, oscillating between what sounds like ridiculous humor to, I don't know, tugging on the heartstrings. This just sounds like it's right up my alley. When can I see it? Do you know?
I'm not actually sure. Neon have got the distribution rights, but I think I read somewhere in the fall. So probably like September, October, most likely. But yeah, they're going to want to sort of release it steadily, I think, keep the fire and the passion burning for it. But yeah, we'll see. Maybe it's going to go, maybe they'll take it to TIFF and then it'll get a general release, but we'll see. Given it as such a crowd pleaser, they might want to do it that way. Yeah.
Cool. Any sci-fi stuff to watch out for? I just asked because I'm a sci-fi junkie.
That's a great question. No to Megalopolis, if that's what you're digging for, but no, Francis Ford Coppola, even though it's kind of a jumble of genres, no to Megalopolis. I think once people see that, they're going to be like, okay, this is $120 million well spent on this movie. But
is it that bad?
I mean, it's remarkably watchable, but whilst you're watching it, you're kind of like baffled by so much of it. Like, this is what Francis Ford Coppola, the man who made The Godfather and Apocalypse Now, made this movie, and you're like going, this is what he's been wanting to make for 40 years, and it's like, it's such a head scratcher. It's so tonally all over the place and it's so confusing. But in a way, it is a lot of fun to watch because of how much of a mishmash it is. But yeah, I'm excited for people to see it because it really was a special thing discussing the movie in Cannes with fellow film journalists after it was out, because
just baffled by it.
Yeah, and the reactions were all over the place. Some people loved it, and some people just absolutely hated it. So yeah, it's one of those movies where the discourse surrounding it is actually more fun than the movie itself. But yeah, I'm excited for more people to see it so we can discuss it.
Okay, we just have a couple minutes left. Anything else to look out for? Anything else you're particularly excited about or you were struck by that you saw at Cannes? At Cannes?
Yeah, sure.
Cannes.
So we've got Furiosa is probably going to be, I'd say, quite well received. Well, I don't think I'll get the 10 nominations that Furio got, but he'll probably do well.
I didn't like it. I don't know. I just didn't like. I mean, I didn't hate it, but I didn't like it. Trying to think what didn't I like about it. I don't know. I found it hard to follow, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I liked that it was more narrative driven than spectacle driven. This one, so I quite appreciate that personally. But yeah, I understand why some people don't love it, but I thought it was great. I thought it was really well done, and I like that it wasn't just a copy and paste of Fury Road. I like that it was doing something a little different, but still felt in world of the Mad Max universe. But yeah, I can see that getting like costumes, production design, visual effects, sound, makeup and hair, but it's not going to get double-digit nominations, I don't think. Ali Abbasi's The Apprentice is one to look out for as well, with Sebastian Stan and Jeremy Strong giving fantastic performances as Donald Trump and Roy Cohn. Definitely will be in the conversation, those two. Maybe a screenplay nomination for Gabriel Sherman, or a makeup and hair nom because of how well the transformation of Sebastian Stan looks as Donald Trump. Flow was an animated film about a lovely little cat. You can see that getting into animated feature. The other one, the one that I would love to see some nominations for, which is sci-fi adjacent, is The Substance, which is a horror/sci-fi, where Demi Moore takes a substance and splits her body into two, a younger version of herself. That one was incredible. That was one of the biggest rapturous movies at Cannes this year, but given the genre bias that plagues the Academy, I doubt it will get much awards season traction. But Demi Moore gives one of the best performances in it. The makeup and hair in it deserves the win, as far as I'm concerned, but it's probably not even getting nominated. And yeah, the sound design as well is just visceral, disgusting, just a lot of fun to listen to. And probably not going to get any recognition, but that is the case, sadly. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for walking us through like a sort of preview of what we're about to see come out and what's so exciting at Cannes. I got it right the last time.
Yeah, you did.
All right, Luke, I appreciate your time.
No worries. Thanks for having me on, mate.
Luke Hearfield is a UK-based movie critic and a proud cat dad. Our last guest is my producer, Dani. I've got a few nice things I want to say to her and a few less nice things. And also, we need to discuss the music video, Wake Me Up Before You Go Go, that got brought up earlier in the week and brushed off. I got to address this. It's Pride Month, so if not now, then never. It's producer Dani up next. Look, we had trouble booking the show today, all right? We needed another 10 minutes. So I'm going to call my producer, Dani, and give her shit because, well, I think that's the best way to fill the time.
David Cooper.
Hello, Dani. I am rolling right now. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So, I just want to thank you. I want to tell you what a great producer you are because on, I don't know, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, who knows time, I was telling the story on the show about a book being banned that was about banning books. Although I don't think in that book, the book that was being banned in the book was about banning books. That'd be good if it was, but not important. You were listening to that, and then you just went and booked the guy who wrote the book without even asking me, without even telling me. And I just want to say I really appreciate you. You really get what I'm trying to do, and I appreciate your help, and you do a great job, so thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I mean, I guess that's sort of part of the job of producing a show, all right?
It is, but, you know, I didn't mean a word of it, but I appreciate all that you do is all.
Oh, well, you're welcome.
Another thing I wanted to talk about. I was trying to have this conversation with Gary Dierenfeld about George Michael's or Wham's music video, Wake Me Up Before You Go Go. And I think this is an important pride topic because we've come a long way since the 80s. You were alive, like you were a kid when that music video came out, weren't you?
Yes, I was.
And everyone thought George Michael was a heartthrob. They just thought he was the ultimate straight guy that everyone likes. And that was kind of the perception of him. He was like every woman's dream. And then this music video comes out and they're dancing around wearing pink shirts. They're wearing so much makeup, it looks like they're going to fall off their face. And they're wearing these Choose Life shirts. And this is, of course, before the pro-life, anti-abortion people came up with Choose Life. I don't even know what that meant back then. I think they just wanted to be awesome. I don't know. Anyway, he's dancing around like a little schoolboy in Heat. And nobody thought he was gay. And that was just what was going on in the 80s. What did you think when you saw that music video?
I know, because it was such a huge music video when I was really little. I don't remember, but I mean, I remember the song and the music video and everything, and Wham, of course. And I don't know. I never really thought about his sexuality, I guess. But I mean, I was a kid. I knew that women saw him as a heartthrob. But now, I didn't see that music video for decades. And then having just watched it the other night, I was like, how did we not know?
How did you not? I think it's kind of a wonderful statement about the 80s where he wasn't being judged, but it's also a bad statement of the 80s that he couldn't be out or he felt he couldn't be out or he would have lost fans or his record deals or whatever. Like in the 80s, you could get canceled for being gay. It wasn't easy to be gay. So on that side, it's horrible. And I'm glad we've come a long way. But what I like about it is nobody stopped to think, hey, is this guy maybe gay? Is this not maybe the gayest music video ever made? It's an awesome music video, but to say that it's a straight video, I think would be doing it an injustice.
It's such a great music video. But yeah, you're right. I mean, I don't know how we didn't know, but it's kind of great that no one was really thinking about that or cared about that. It actually reminds me of a story that I just read this morning, and it was about, it was an obituary for a New York veteran, and I believe he was in the fire department, and he passed away, and he decided to use his obituary as the place where he came out to everybody. Like he had been in the closet his whole life. He died, I think he was like in his 90s or something. And he, right at the end, he just said, basically, I just want to tell my loved ones and everything that I'm gay. I've been gay my whole life. And that he even mentioned a partner that he apparently had he said the love of his life for 25 years who had passed away a number of years ago. But he never felt comfortable coming out during his lifetime, and decided to share the news, I guess, that way. And also to explain, why he was going to be buried next to this man. So, I mean, it was, I wish he had felt like he could have come out sooner. It's kind of sad that he spent his whole life in the closet. I mean, I'm glad that he at least did have a relationship with a guy.
Yeah, what a time to come out. I guess it's never too late to come out. I guess your obituary is, maybe that's the latest you can come out, no later than that.
Yeah, I don't know, but
Wild.
hopefully people will read that and decide that, you know what, I hope for most people living in the closet isn't something that they feel is necessary.
And New York is such a hotbed for LGBTQ plus activity. Like, it's New York, it's San Francisco. There's so few cities where it's like so easy to be gay. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm just saying it's easier than other cities. And this guy felt like even with the gay movement in New York, the Pride Parade, all the civil rights events that have happened where New York has been the sort of center point, this guy still felt like he couldn't come out. I guess in the fire department, although they were here the other day, Dani, and they are so handsome. They are, I mean, I don't even know. They transcend gay or straight. These guys they're like, I don't even, like, New York cops it's the stereotype, right? You get the overweight ones. They all look like schlubs. They look like they're going to bust minorities. Like, New York cops are not a sight. They are a sight for sore eyes. But New York fire department people, oh my God. It's like, I thought they were filming something when they came to my building to help someone stuck in the elevator. I thought it was a joke.
I was going to say, why was the fire department at your house? I thought you had some kind of candle thing again.
No, my cat didn't catch on fire. No, some schmuck just got stuck in the elevator. Now I take the stairs after that. But yeah, the fire department rolled in. They destroyed the front door. They used a crowbar to open the basement door where like the boiler room and the elevator equipment was. They just destroy your building. It's hilarious. I mean, I guess because I rent, it's hilarious. If I was an owner of the building and had to pay for it, I wouldn't find it hilarious. But yeah, they're so insanely handsome. You cannot imagine. Honestly, if you come to New York, you should just get a lawn chair and sit outside of a fire department. That's a day in and of itself.
Or just pretend to be trapped in an elevator and call them, right? That's some of your less sane listeners. That's what they're going to end up doing with your story.
I felt bad for the guy trapped in there because he didn't speak any English. He was shouting in Spanish. And when the fire department finally got him out, they were trying to talk to him, and one of the firefighters spoke Spanish because a lot of people here do. And the guy just wanted to leave so quickly. I think he was scared, or I think he was a DoorDash driver, and he was just scared and didn't want to be involved with any kind of law enforcement, any kind of first responders. He just booked it out of here, and he looked like he felt guilty, but he didn't do anything wrong. He got stuck in an elevator.
Ooh, well, maybe is it possible he might be undocumented and doesn't want to get found out? Then maybe
that's what I was thinking. He might be undocumented. Yeah. I mean, who knows? But yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah. Anyway, firefighter's handsome. This guy comes out at age dead. I feel like, a lot of gay guys and gay women will stand around and be like, I came out when I was this age. I came out when I was this age. And this guy can be like, I came out when I was dead. Except he can't do that because he's dead. So it's not a competition. That's wild.
That's quite the obituary. I mean, the new thing nowadays, we're reading some like angry obituaries written by off family members who decide to take, that moment to get everything off their chest about the person that's passed away. So that's another thing that we've been seeing in the news. But
those are always fun.
Oh yeah, they're a lot of fun. But I mean, I guess this guy is an older gentleman, and I get what you're saying. He was in New York City, which is a very open place. But I guess back when he would have been young, probably not so open.
Dani, you're a great producer, not just for booking great guests, giving me good topics, all that, helping me stay organized, but also for filling 10 minutes when I really need it at the end of the show. That is our show, Dani. Thank you for being on it. Thanks for doing this, and thanks for all your help.
Thanks for not singing for 10 minutes.
Oh, I was about to say, you know what's coming. I have a new Friday tradition where I do something very special. It's a recorded song. I'm hoping it'll get to #1 on the charts. Do you know what that song is, Dani?
Oh, I know that song. I'm not going to sing it, but my favorite part is where you tell people to listen or not, because you're not the boss of them. And,
hey, don't give it away. It's coming up.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to just count it out like a 1 and a 2 and a go ahead? You can count into it. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We'll see you on Monday.
And a 1 and a 2 and a 3. So sorry, everyone.
That's another week of This Is Going Well, I think, with David Cooper. Thanks for listening to all the stuff that I put out for you to listen to. I really appreciate that you tuned in to this show. I really appreciate it. I already said that. I hope you have a nice weekend and you see some of your family members if you're not estranged from them, because you should see your family or not. I don't care. I hope you will listen next week. If you don't, I won't do anything, because I'm not the boss of you. I'm not the boss of you, so do whatever you want. This Is Going Well, I think, is the name of the show. I should have probably stopped singing minutes ago, but here we are. I'm gonna continue for the rest of this 2-minute track. Regrets, I have many of them right now, but I don't know if I can stop singing yet. Okay, I can now.